Hello, and welcome to the WWIA Podcast. We're honored to have you join us in our mission to bring honor, connection, and healing to America's combat-wounded Purple Heart heroes. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, we welcome you. If you're a returning listener, thanks for coming back. Please be sure to tell others about our podcast and leave us a review if you're enjoying what you're hearing. On this latest episode of the WWIA Podcast, WWIA Founder and CEO John McDaniel welcomes longtime supporter and WWIA Event Host Mr. Sandy Deveney to the program. Sandy is the host of the Central PA Cast and Blast, an outstanding event that has been proudly honoring and serving our combat wounded veterans for the past 11 years. For 40 years, Sandy has been married to his beautiful wife Elizabeth, a retired teacher and an accomplished artist. Sandy has had an eclectic and distinguished career. Following his graduation from Penn State with a degree in law enforcement and corrections, Sandy served across the globe as a U.S. Customs Sky Marshal, a criminal investigator, founder of a utility-based canine drug detection program, and a private detective specializing in canine drug detection. His service-based career allowed him the privilege to work on both the local and federal levels, assisting law enforcement, corporations, and school districts. Now enjoying retirement, Sandy continues to serve in his work with WWIA and our Purple Heart heroes, as well as assisting with the Penn State Alumni Trustee elections for over a decade. Sandy and his wife are also involved with the local Wildlife for Everyone Foundation, where he serves as a board member, and Elizabeth generously donates her artwork for their spring gala. We are honored to spend some time introducing you to Sandy and look forward to you hearing his story. So without further delay, let's join the conversation with John and Sandy now.
Hi, my name is John McDaniel, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation, and this is our podcast, Honor, Connect, and Heal. Today, I've got a very special guest with us who's been helping the foundation for at least 11 years, Sandy Deveney from Pennsylvania. How are you today, and welcome to the program.
Just fine. A little chilly out here, but otherwise it's good.
Yeah, so I was checking out where you guys are at. And is it Rebsburg or Rebersburg? How do you pronounce that?
The event is held in Rebersburg. Most of us live in the Greater State College area in Center County, which is named because it's
Rebersburg,
center of the state.
Pennsylvania. Appalachia. Are you in the Appalachian Mountains there?
We're in the Eastern Appalachians.
Eastern Appalachians. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, I met you several years ago when I went on your event, and so you're at 11 years now. You just in September you completed your 11th year, and you guys hunt for pheasants, and you also catch these monster world-class trout in a local stream, right? Is that basically the program there?
Those two events, and then we also have a military firearms class, which has gotten rave reviews from the attendees.
Well, tell us about that.
Well, one of our participants, Lowell, just retired. He was the armorer for Homeland Security. And during his career, he has accumulated with a very large military firearms showing. And it actually goes back to the Revolutionary War. And he brings a load of guns to the event, and we have a class set room set up outdoors, and goes from Revolutionary War to the new blackouts, and gives everybody a full lecture on the history of the guns. And every year he remembers something different, so it's always interesting to sit in on. And at the culmination, all of the attendees, all the heroes get to shoot 5 rounds through some of the guns. Some of them were like the blackout they've only heard of. They've never seen one or shot one, and they have been afforded that opportunity, all the way down to a 22 semi-auto pistol with a silencer on it. So it's pretty all encompassing and well received by the heroes.
Oh, that's great. Great.
And while that is going on, while the guys are shooting on that event, simultaneously we have another event set up about a quarter-mile away where we're given a trap course. And we have all the guys who didn't bring a gun pick a gun, and those that brought their own shotguns use them. We provide all the ammunition and the clay birds, and they get to shoot as many. Everybody gets a box of shells, so they get at least 25 rounds.
Cool.
On the trap course.
And that's all in preparation for the pheasant hunt, I would assume.
Yeah, the pheasant hunts are both Saturday and Sunday morning first thing. Try and get it out of the way because of the dogs and the heat.
Yeah.
There's still moisture on the grass, which helps on odor retention for the dogs. And, go from there.
Cool.
And then there's lunch, and then in the afternoon we go trout fishing. As you mentioned. Well, we've been very fortunate, actually. The gentleman whose family owns the property where we hunt fish was a B-52 pilot in Vietnam.
Wow.
So he has, a vested interest in the military. Still is active with other retired military types in our area up here. And he provides us that property free of charge. And the fishing's, catch and release. The fishing is actually leased to a private club that has probably a half dozen streams that they manage for their club members. Club membership a year is rather expensive. And he's allowed to have so many days per year. So 2 of his days that he's allowed, he donates to us.
Wow. I've seen the picture, Sandy, and it's of the trout that you guys are catching. And, I've caught a lot of trout in my day on a fly rod, but I think I actually once upon a time went to New Zealand, and the only place I've ever seen trout the size of the ones you guys catch in Pennsylvania was in fact in New Zealand. The rest of the world doesn't have fish that size. Some of those are just monsters. It's a beautiful trout stream.
Well, the one thing that was of interest this year, and David's working on a release for Facebook, which you're familiar with, is I got hooked up with a 13-year-old who has a fly tying business. And he actually guided one of the guys, David, this year for 2 days. And David had never fished on a fly rod and caught one of those monsters you're talking about. So there's a picture of the 2 of them that's going to be on the Wounded Warrior in Action Facebook page in the near future.
That is such a great story. Yeah, David Segunda, what a great guy. Yeah, that's wonderful. Oh, that's amazing. So tell us about your camp. I was impressed with your camp, that setup, that structure up there in the hills. Is that your property? Whose property is that?
No, it's a private hunting club that has been around for, I think, since the early 1920s.
Okay.
And it is basically a lot of local members from the nearby towns who have perpetuated this and passed it on from generation to generation. And there's a vetting process before you can become a member, and you have to do an apprenticeship, and they're rather selective, and then they have an annual fee every year, and there's some benefits you get, and they basically originally the first 2 years that we did this was not with you guys, and it was on an adjoining property in a very small hunting camp. And these fellows came over and scoped it out and said, we're going to talk at our next general meeting, but we think you should be over at our place. And it all came to fruition, and we've been over there for, I don't know, 10 or 11 years. And they actually air conditioned the place for the warmer weather. And it's 1,600 acres.
Wow.
Up to the top of the mountain, and there's a bench, and then over the top. So it's a good portion of it's owned by the club. There are a lot of smaller plots, and I'd say smaller, like 100, 150 acres, that members of the club own, and they kind of have it all encompassed into this one property with food plots, and I mean it's heavily managed to attract wildlife.
I bet there's some big whitetails out there too, huh?
They didn't get any monsters this year.
Oh yeah.
They didn't get any monsters this year, but they have in the past. And the one room in there where the TV is like a trophy room, and I don't think you could hang another rack on the wall.
That's cool. That's cool. So let me ask you, what got you started in wanting to get involved in the program, in the WWIA program? What was the major motivation for you there, and your staff that supports you?
Well, the original hunting club, which is now defunct, it was very small. That started, and as I said, originally it was with another who were totally unsupportive. And through that, one of the attendees identified Wounded Warriors in Action to me. And I followed up and pursued that. And we've been with you guys ever since. And it's a good crew. We have a ground crew that everybody, we actually now have, I'd say, co-chairman. I'm kind of like the guy in charge, the flight director. And then we have people who have different responsibilities, from travel arrangements to food, kitchen staff. And it just, it all balances out that, everything, as Einstein said, doing the same thing over and over again. So we have it down pretty well to a well-oiled machine. And everybody knows their responsibility. Everybody's on top of it.
Awesome. So do you have any cool stories you want to share with us? 11 years of serving combat wounded veterans in the high country in Pennsylvania. There's got to be a couple of stories that stick out.
There are some really good stories. I'll start with one that involves a benefactor of ours, Bob Lord, who helped support our event.
Oh, yeah. What a great American.
And he was at one of our...
Vietnam veteran.
Correct. He was at one of our first events with two of his compatriots from the Philadelphia area. And we have a campfire every night. We were sitting around the campfire, and Russ, the fellow that owns the ground where we hunt there, as I mentioned earlier, Russ was a B-52 pilot. So, of course, these guys 50-plus years later start telling stories. And the one guy's, I remember you guys and flying over and giving us, air cover. And he says, the only call sign I can remember is Arkla. And Russ goes, that was me.
Wow.
So 50 years later, the guy that was dumping from the skies to support these guys, they're sharing a beer together and reminiscing. So that was pretty cool.
Wow.
One of the things we have as
I hadn't heard that.
One of the things we have as a tradition is the local congressman, Glenn G.T. Thompson, stops by and speaks to the guys and tells some stories and presents them with a flag and a certificate for the flag flew over the United States Capitol in their honor. So they all get a brand new nice flag and a certificate to take home. Glenn's son is pretty much a lifer in the Army. And when he was over in the Mideast, he got hit. He got a Purple Heart. So at the suggestion of his father, he signed up for Wounded Warriors in Action.
I remember that.
So he's at an event he's in an event in the upper Midwest somewhere, and he's at the bar, and he's talking to the guy next to him, who you know very well, Jake.
Oh, yeah.
And the conversation gets around to where you're from, blah, blah, blah. And the son says, I'm from Pennsylvania. And Jake says, I'm from Pennsylvania. Where are you from? He says, over in Center County, town called Howard. Jake says, well, I'm in Somerset. And something with Jake clicked off, and he goes, looking at the name, you're not GT's son, are you? And it was like, yes. He goes, oh my God, I know your dad, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
so there's been a lot of small world connections that have happened.
Yeah.
And of course, when we have the sit around the campfire and guys talking, guys that were in country in Fallujah at the same time, and do you remember when so and so got hit? You know, it's but there's been a lot of supportive talk that has happened. I can remember early on, we had some guys with PTSD issues, and you know, other guys from the same area that go to the same VA. You don't want to talk to that psychologist. You know, it was basically you need to talk to this other psychiatrist or psychologist, and it actually became a data pool for who's the best people to deal with, and so that's
right. That's good.
You know, but there's a million stories that have come out of there. The local community support, our group, basically all of our food and beverages are donated by the local community. Some from way as far as Harrisburg, large meat purveyors, but one of the things that we're lucky with is we have a large preponderance of craft beer manufacturers in our area, and all of them are generous. So the guys get a real sampling of the local craft beers from central Pennsylvania.
That's great. That's isn't that all Penn State land right in there? Do I have that right?
We're the airport that the guys fly into. Those who fly in is actually owned by the university.
Okay,
and it's on university property. So the whole premise of Penn State originally was a farmers' college, and it was supposedly built in the geographic center of Pennsylvania so that it was equidistant for all to attend. So it is in Center County, and the geographic center of the Commonwealth is in close proximity to the university. We're about 40 minutes east of the university.
Okay. Nittany Lion Country. Yeah. Excellent. Yes. Excellent. Well, that's very good. So what does this do? What is all this for you personally? What's your motivation for doing this, and how's this work? When you get done with the event and it's all over and guys are going back home and you're sitting around cleaning things up and heading back to the house, etc. What kind of feelings are you left with? I mean, what really resonates about this? What about this work really resonates with you?
Well, the way we have like the bird hunt set up, we actually have viewing stands, if you want to call it there. We take a bunch of chairs in the bags and we go out and we line up where we park and set up the chairs. Might have a guy there with a shotgun to cover birds that are breaking across the road. And we can pretty well see, although some of it's a distance away, a good distance away, but we can pretty well see the whole hunt. Obviously, with the difference between the speed of light and the speed of sound, we'll see a bird go up and take off a point from one of our dogs. And then we'll see the bird tumble, and then we'll hear the gunshot. So, it's like you don't have them happening simultaneously. So, but We have that set up, and the same thing with the fishing. There's ample viewer space, although most of our guys are guides also. We put 10 between heroes and staffers. We put 10 people in the water. We need 10 guides. The same when we're hunting. We have teams, 2 5-man teams, and each one has at least 2, if not more, dogs working with them. And the property where we hunt, they generously mow this massive field and put shooting lanes in it so that the guys don't necessarily have to walk through knee-high or higher wet brush to hunt. Right. And the dogs will do the dirty work and get into the high grass work and odor. So it's kind of, we try to make it as user-friendly. We have had at times guys that we've taken out in a 4x4 that had mobility issues. One of the guys early on, who was a Vietnam guy, Ed, he had gotten a tracked, I'll call it a wheelchair. I don't know that any better, but Bill O'Reilly.
A track chair. Yeah.
Bill O'Reilly was giving them away.
Yeah, the track chairs.
And he had one of those.
Yeah, they're called track chairs.
Okay, so one of the other fellows who was there tried it out, and next year he was back. He had one. So that has helped out a lot. But we get guys out. We have we have a couple of ATVs that are multi-seaters that we can move guys around with if we need to. And then we have hydrate. This year was hot. We had hydration stations, those blue plastic 55-gallon drums cut in half sideways, filled with water, so that the dogs had a place to either get in and cool off or get a drink, because it was warmer than we really had hoped for.
You guys got snow now? Is there snow there now?
I'm just looking out the window. There's a little dusting. We had some a couple weeks ago, but it got up in the 50s and it all disappeared. My driveway's a half mile. So I appreciate when we don't have a lot of snow around. I have 2 plows.
Right on. Yeah, I remember getting up to the property when I showed up, and that was a long drive for sure. Well, Sandy, tell us about your team. Is there anybody on your team that you'd like to recognize here? I mean, none of us can do this without a lot of help, and I certainly do appreciate and want to publicly thank you for your leadership and all your hard work over the last 11 years now to build something that's quite special, not just for our heroes, but certainly for your local community and all the people that pour out and contribute to making that a very successful event. And so I want to say thank you to you for all that you've done and all the connections you've made and all the healing that you've helped us do. So thank you very much. But this is an opportunity here for you. And I know it's hard because you start naming names and then you inevitably leave somebody out and they get all boo-boo lipped. But, this is your opportunity to maybe highlight a couple of, I know you've already talked about Bob Lord, what a great American he is, Purple Heart recipient himself. He does a monster fundraiser that supports your event and his golf tournament every year, and what a legacy he's built. But is there anybody in particular you'd like to, to thank out there other than the property owners and the leadership at the lodge that you enjoy?
We have this year. I'm not getting younger, and my wife pretty much insisted that I start to divest a little bit. So we actually formed subcommittees and put people in charge of various operations within the event. And I have a gentleman who was Billy Roberts, who is my number one. He's my driver. He's in charge of organizing getting the ammo on board the vehicle to take it out for the trap shoot, water buckets for the dogs and stuff for the pheasant hunting. So he's very instrumental, and eventually will probably take over the operation. The Kane brothers at camp their family are lifelong members there, and they are responsible for the kitchen operation.
Mm.
And the one brother, Greg, was a chef at the Penn State Hotel. So he has vast experience in breakfast cooking and stuff like that. So, when they come down for breakfast, it's what do you want? It's like a diner. And they get it out. And his brother, Bill, pretty much manages the facility and keeps everything running. Rick Daly recently sold, but the new owners have agreed they're going to continue to participate. A very large pheasant propagation business, and he has donated all of the pheasants for our hunt for forever since we started, and that's pheasants and chuckers, which are sometimes known as a partridge. 30 birds twice a day. So he puts out, well over $1,000 in birds.
Oh, that's a lot of birds.
The schnitzlers are, the wife helps out in the kitchen a lot, and Bob, the husband, he's in charge for the fishing component to make sure everybody's got waders, they've got rods and reels. On Friday, between after lunch, between that and another event, which I'm going to have to mention, just write a quick note. He organizes fly casting lessons, because people like David had never fished with a fly rod, and we've had that with a lot of the guys. We had one fellow from down in Florida who his wife laughed at him. You're going to go do what? And he was, yeah, I am. So as soon as he started hooking up on fish, he'd run back to the shoreline and give somebody his camera phone and take pictures, and was texting them to his wife in Florida to prove I fished and I caught fish. So we had, Schnitz takes care of that. I mentioned Lowell before. He's the one that teaches the firearms class. The Meisners, the wife helps out in the kitchen, as does their, and both in the Schnitzlers and the Meisners, they actually have granddaughters that help out in the kitchen. But the Meisners are in charge of transportation. This year, out of the 10 guys, we only had 2 drivers. So we had to arrange for 8 guys to be picked up at the airport and then dropped off back there on Monday to fly out. So we have people in charge of that. I mentioned the cave, where we fish and hunt. The family that owns that has been very generous. And one of the things they have on their property is a wildlife tour. And Friday afternoon, the last tour, because that's when the critters get fed, they have old, I don't know whether they're military or school buses, but they have no windows in them. And you go on a tour, and you can, you can't hang out the windows, but you start out with buffalo or water or bison, and then you head on to the longhorns. You go through the deer pens, and there's elk in there. And then on to bears and wolves and coyotes and everything at Penn's. So it's kind of a neat tour. The guys have always enjoyed that. So they're, and then of course I can't, we have a vendor, Collegiate Pride, who has graciously donated our commemorative T-shirts every year. And that's a big plus. All the guys on arrival, they get a T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, which are rather famous here in this area, they're called grilled stickies. And there was a diner downtown at one point in time that made these sticky buns that was the lifeblood of every true Penn Stater at 2:00 in the morning after the bars closed. And they since have moved out of town and have a huge baking operation, and they donate 2 cases of stickies. So all the guys get, unbeknownst to what they really are, they all get a pack of them to take home with their T-shirt. And the next morning at breakfast, they'll have them. And Greg Kane, who's the breakfast cook, has come up with ways to make a good thing better. And he'll do them in bread pudding. He'll do them with a white sauce. He's got all kinds of stuff. So they become very familiar with them, and they all get a package to take home.
That's cool.
The other thing on my notes that I'd be, negligent if I didn't mention is the guys arrive Thursday and Monday are travel days, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday are pretty much rock and roll, lock and load from breakfast to after dinner. It's fast moving. There's not a lot of lay down time.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that happened each of the 3 nights is we have live music. We have some local guys. One actually did 15 years in the Army, and they come and play their favorite songs for the guys. And we have one guy who's Matt Miskey, who goes back to the 60s and 70s when he was really hot in the music scene. So a lot of it, for particularly the Vietnam guys, it's a trip down memory lane. So those 3 guys deserve, they donate the time, they donate their travel. Some of them, Matt lives, several hours away. He actually stays overnight when he plays.
Well, it's quite a crowd that you've assembled there, an amazing community response, and it certainly is a very colorful and rich cultural experience as well for the heroes. And of course, combine that with world-class trout fishing and some amazing bird hunting, and some culinary delights unique to that part of the world, the country. Makes for a very memorable experience. Everybody talks very highly about you and your event when they get off from it. And I've read a lot of testimonials. And of course, I had a chance to spend some time with you there. It's really a beautiful place. I want to thank you again, and of course your wife, for allowing us to rent your time and all the you are a volunteer, and as everybody is, that supports your mission, and it's just it wouldn't happen without everybody's hard work and patriotic ways, which we're very appreciative of. I'll give you the last word here, Sandy. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our listening audience before we bid ourselves an adieu?
Well, the one thing that is also included for free in the trip, the camp where we stay and the places where we fish and hunt and do stuff, there's a very large Amish community. So the fellas all get a real exposure to a lifestyle that many people don't. And every other Sunday is church Sunday for the Amish. So if our weekend coincides with a church Sunday, they will see in excess of 50 horse and buggies up and down the road. And you can tell it's church Sunday because you just got to look at the road to see what the horses have left. And you know that it's, and you'll drive by whoever's hosting services and the prayer wagon where they bring all the chairs and stuff in for the service. to the person's home is there. And then they all have, a lot of them have, if we're there in the earlier part of September, they have roadside fruit stands and stuff. So it's a cultural exposure that they wouldn't normally have elsewhere.
It's really cool.
But as far as, everybody, the people at headquarters and the support staff like David and Karina that are remote are always right there to get things done, or somebody missed a plane or whatever, and it's one of our biggest problems is being as remote as we are. Cell service is virtually non-existent. So we've got to drive about a half mile up the road to a high spot where you can park on the side of the road and do your phone business. Now, for some of the guys that are looking for a wait time from home, that's an ideal situation. That, I'm sorry, honey, they don't have phone service where I'm going to be. But no, other than that, hey, we're good. I mean, every year we add something or we correct a problem if we saw a problem, and the after actions meetings pretty much encompass everything that needs to be improved.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the staff, at least my staff anyway, that supports all of you and me, of course. It's an amazing group, and I appreciate you calling them out. They don't get recognized as much as they probably should. They all do a wonderful job, and I'm very thankful to have them on the team. And I want to wish you and all of yours a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful holiday season as it's upon us here in December of 2024. I can't believe it, but listen, again, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure hosting you. You did a great job on the podcast, and keep up the fire, Sandy. You're doing great.
Well, everything's planned, and Penn State released their football schedule yesterday as one of the driving factors around when we hold our event, because whatever airfares and stuff are in State College, they go up significantly on home football weekends. Yeah. So they just announced, and we're looking at October 4th of next year to have our event. That just was determined with phone calls this morning.
Wonderful.
So
wonderful.
Go from there.
All right, very good. Well, I appreciate you. Look forward to hearing more of your stories, and continued good luck on your event. You're doing great stuff. Thanks a lot, Sandy.
All right, thanks, John.
All right, have a good day.
Have a good holiday, and get those boys out on the water.
Will do, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the WWIA Podcast. To learn more about the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation and how you can get involved, please visit our website at WWIAF.org or follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. If you'd like to comment or offer feedback about our podcast, or if you have a suggestion for a future episode, please email us at podcast@WWIAF.org. Thank you for your support and for helping us honor, connect, and heal our combat wounded Purple Heart heroes through the power of the great outdoors.